Here's a thought experiment. Imagine for a moment that your state is currently a self-governing, independent nation. It makes its own laws. It controls its own borders. It has its own currency. It has its own trade deals with other nations. It has full control over how, or even if, its citizens are taxed. It has full control over how that money is spent to address the challenges unique to its people. In short, you are just like the other 195 self-governing, independent nation-states in the world. You control your own destiny. Now, imagine that the citizens of your independent, self-governing nation were asked to go to the polls and answer one question. Should Texas cease being an independent nation and become a state of the United States? What would be the case for you to vote to give up your independence in favor of becoming a state of the Union? Let's examine the benefits of joining the United States. On day one, you would be subject to 180,000 to 800,000 pages of federal laws and regulations, the true number of which even the federal government can't count. Approximately 5,000 of those laws carry criminal penalties. Be careful, though. The average American commits around 3 federal felonies per day. This doesn't take into account the federal regulatory accumulation that you would be subject to, which has robbed everyone in the Union of 85% of their household income. Oh, I forgot to mention the $66,000 you would be liable for as your share of the $22 trillion federal debt. The upside is that this federal debt comes with a handy online scoreboard that can help you keep track of it so you will always know how much you owe at any given time. Ultimately, your fate would be in the hands of one or more of the approximately 440 separate and overlapping federal agencies. If you disagree with their actions, you can always challenge their laws, rules, and regulations in one of their courts, presided over by their judges that you had little to no say in choosing. However, the track record for success when citizens and states challenge the federal government in their own courts isn't great. You could always work within their system to change things, but it'll be tough with your representatives making up a small minority in a body of 535 people, the vast majority of which don't even come from your state. The upside is you get an opportunity to vote for a president every 4 years, who will likely not be from your state, who can overturn your laws at the stroke of a pen with an executive order. All of these functionaries will work together to enforce laws on you and your state that really were crafted to benefit another state or other politicians, but that you'll be forced to obey anyway. The great news is you won't have to worry about all those pesky responsibilities that come with self-government. Nearly half of the bills that your state legislature introduces each session will be in response to some federal law, rule, regulation, or court decision. One caveat, though, if you don't follow the federal lead, they won't return any of the money that you sent to them via federal income taxes. Therefore, it's just best to go along to get along. With membership in the Union, you receive access to this wonderful thing called the Bill of Rights that outlines all of the protections of your liberty that you will have as a member. It's been around for over 200 years and it's rock solid. Pay no attention to the asterisks or the fine print. They're only there to guide the federal government on how the federal courts have interpreted each of those rights to make them mean whatever the federal government wants them to mean in a particular situation. No need to worry. So, are you in? How you would answer this question is more important than you might think. Over the last several decades, the world has witnessed an explosion in the number of self-governing nation-states. At the end of the Second World War, there were 54 recognized countries across the globe. At the end of the 20th century, there were 192. In each of those cases, the people demanding their independence were subjected to unreasonable.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's time for some late night coffee talk. I'm still, I have to say that I am still not used to the intro. I'm just not. not that I'm not that I'm hating it. I like it. It's just I'm just not used to it. I'm just used to firing up the camera and having conversations with you guys midweek and just getting on here with a cup of coffee to decompress. So very glad we could be here together tonight. Let me do this tonight. I've got no particular agenda. I've got a handful of things that I want to talk with you guys about, but you guys are going to drive it tonight. As always, chat is already rolling, and I can see some of those things. Some of them we got to do something a little bit better about the setup here because yeah, it's small. We can't really see what's going on there. Well, anyway, look, before I get started, let me go ahead and get some housekeeping out of the way. I want to again thank you all for being here. A reminder for those of you watching on YouTube, you can obviously chat, but I'm going to encourage you right now to follow, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell. So that way you get notifications every single time we go live or post a new video, and you'll see it if you're watching on YouTube. You'll see the little button right there, right? It's got a little notification bell. Just hit that button, and then you'll get notified every single time we go live. And of course, as always on YouTube, there is the super chat, and I got to tell you, you guys were very generous to the organization last week. And for those of you who are not watching on YouTube, don't know what I'm talking about, there's actually a feature over there called Super Chat, right? So you could go over there. You can, in the chat, there's a chat rolling beside this video, and you can go on there and, chat with other people, but you can do what's called a Super Chat, which allows you to make a contribution to the organization. And then to highlight your chat means that it pops up and I get to see it ahead of everyone else. So if you want to skip to the head of the line, and I got to tell you, the protest donation last week was quite hilarious when I talked about the neo-Marxists on Twitter talking about tearing down and burning TEXIT signs. That one was solid gold. So for all of you that week in and week out use this as an opportunity to make a contribution to the organization, I cannot possibly thank you enough. We are engaged in the fight of a generation, and so we need all the help we can get. Additionally, let me just go ahead and give a shout out. We are, I think, streaming in 10 different outlets tonight. Several places scattered across Facebook. I think a couple of Twitter accounts. Obviously, we're on Twitch, and we are again running the experimental stream that is going to go right to our Roku channel, this is the final piece of the puzzle. I can tell you, I'm a beta I'm beta testing this thing, right? I'm constantly testing it, and today, while the legislature was in session, I was trying out one of the very interesting features of our Roku channel. And I'll just keep that under my hat until it's released. But you guys are going to absolutely love it when it drops. So moving right along, Facebookers, you know what to do. Like and share and comment. And you folks over there on Twitter, Periscope by Twitter. Is that the way that they want us to pronounce it now? You know what to do. Give us a follow, give us a retweet, and remember we have both the TNM's Twitter account and my account. The TNM's Twitter account is the same as it always is, Texas NATMOV, across all platforms, and mine everywhere you look is going to be the Texian DM. So make sure you give me a follow. And we still haven't worked out the Instagram thing yet. I think I think that's next. Rumble's actually next. Then I think Instagram. But once we get that worked out, we're going to run out of places where we can stream this thing to. And this is a warm up, right? This is a lot of good content to keep you in the loop related to TNM, is sort of being anchored around what's happening right here tonight. This is the petri dish where things are being tested out, and I'm just, I'm excited to be a guinea pig. It's okay. It's not like I'm being a guinea pig for big pharma, right, or the federal government. That's a whole other topic, right? All right, so hopefully you got your cup of coffee. We're going to tear into it. And the first thing I want to talk about tonight is, if you noticed, first off, if you are not a registered supporter, get over to our website at tnm.me and let's make that happen, please. Because for some reason, I'm always kind of amazed when people are surprised by things that I say on here, or things come at them out of the blue. Just so you understand, our emails that come into the TNM typically fall in one of two, sort of, they break a couple different ways. I mean, we do get some encouraging emails, and, we definitely get emails from people that want to help, but a lot of hate mail, and I don't want to say hate mail. Hate mail may be a little strong. But a lot of I don't even know if I want to say a lot, man. I'm self-editing tonight. Jeez, this is crazy. Some of the emails that come in have a tendency to break one of two ways. People are complaining that they are out of the loop and they don't get communicated with, or they complain that we over communicate. Maybe they should have a summit and exchange information, because we're communicating with the people the same way across every platform we possibly can. So, but yeah, get over and register your support. That way we can get emails to you. You can get notifications. You can sign up for our text list. And if you text TEXIT to 33339, that's 33339, and you text the word TEXIT, you can join our SMS list. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. But yeah, it's quite interesting. So we dropped the news this week that we had scheduled a virtual town hall, and that we had sent invitations out Monday morning, like literally first thing out of the chute. And right before we even announced it, we had already heard back from Lieutenant Colonel Alan West accepting the invitation, and already from Greg Abbott's office, Governor Greg Abbott's office, declining to participate. So, at least we heard from Greg Abbott, right? I mean, it's like the first time that he's ever officially communicated with us, right? They typically avoid us, at least his office and his politicians, especially now that he's got Steve Munisteri working for him. They have a tendency to avoid us like the plague, right? Because he doesn't want to be accountable on the Texas issue. So, getting at least the, hey, I won't be there, was something, right? Not that it excuses anything else. I just thought it was quite interesting, because we still haven't heard from Don Huffines or Chad Prather. So, quite interesting. But immediately as it went out, as you can imagine, we started getting criticism. People kind of whan about, well, number one, why are you announcing if you don't have everybody confirmed yet? Why not? We're going to have it. Whoever shows. I mean, if no one showed, we were going to put up like still pictures of them and, make fun of them, right? But the fact of the matter is that we get questioned, like literally every speaking engagement I have done for 2 months. During the Q&A, I get the question about where the governor's candidates stand, and they're not asking about the libertarians or the independents or anything like that. They're asking about, out of West and Huffines and Prather, where they stand, what the dialogue's been. And it was so funny. And I don't know, someone in the chat may remember which one this one was, but it was either, it might have been College Station. No, it was Lufkin, maybe. I can't remember, but one of the speaking engagements recently, And I literally, oh, it was Lufkin, because the gentleman in the back started asking the governor's question. I said, "Oh, good, the governor's question. Who else here was going to ask the governor's question?" And everybody's hand went up, right? And maybe that even happened in College Station too. But I get asked about it a lot, right? I mean, we keep getting pounded, and we haven't endorsed. We may not by the time this is over with. If we don't get the answers we want out of these candidates on our issues, right? For those of you who may have forgotten or never knew, the TNM has a mission statement, and everything we do as an organization fits within that mission statement. And endorsing candidates that don't fully support that mission statement is not in the best interest of the organization, right? It's not what we do as Texas Nationalists. And I got to tell you, it's one of the biggest criticisms that I've had with a lot of Texas voters is that why in the world do they continue to vote against their best interest, right? Why is it that we're all expected to sort of compromise, right? We're sort of expected to just kind of settle. And I'm not about settling, not on these core issues, these key principles, the mission, the idea, the reality of Texas independence is not a negotiable thing for us, right? There's no degrees of independence that are acceptable to us. So, if that puts somebody's panties in a knot, that doesn't bother me. That's just called tough cookies. We may have to agree to disagree. But the bottom line is, you know what the organization's about. It's literally baked in the name, the Texas Nationalist Movement. We're about making Texas a self-governing independent nation. And if people have difficulty figuring that part of it out, then we spelled it out in the mission statement. So anyway, so we made the announcement. People are, we got, I think, one or two emails from people that were, why are you announcing? And it's like tough, I mean, I'm sorry you don't like the fact that we announced until we had everything. But number one is we want to give people plenty of time to get this thing done, right? And we made sure that it was scheduled out far enough ahead that none of these guys could legitimately claim scheduling conflicts, right? And that's what Abbott did. So it was a decline based. So mission accomplished. We kind of know what that means, but it was scheduled that far in advance so that we could reasonably get they wouldn't have any excuse other than they did not want to engage with TEXIT supporters in a virtual town hall. Okay, silence is its own message sometimes. So, we'll see. There's plenty of time for them to figure out what they want to do, but West is already locked in. And I know that I had swapped messages with Huffines about this and waiting on him to respond back. And of course, every time we send an email off to Prather's camp, I think they round file it. So whatever. Okay. So that was one, right? That was kind of one thing. Then the emails started up about, well, what about this candidate, or what about that candidate, or what about this candidate over here? And it was like, independent candidate and a libertarian candidate. It's like, guys, we're not at the stage for those town halls to happen, right? Independent candidates don't get a primary. they don't, especially independent candidates for governor who have to go out and collect signatures to even get on the ballot. And then you've got, the issue of the libertarians. Libertarians don't have primary. They have a convention. They caucus. So that's its whole other thing. And, the Democrats won't participate, I'm sure. So we're doing this in primary season with the most highly contested primary race for governor. And that would be the one where Abbott and West and Huffines and Prather, that's where those guys are. So we'll get to you. Just be patient. It's not your turn, but it's coming. It'll be okay. Yeah, we're playing even-handed with this because we want to know. We want the best pro-Texas candidate to get behind, and may the best person win. That's all I can say. So yeah, that news dropped, and I think it's pretty exciting. We're going to, and if you did not read the news article, I'm not going to recount it for you here, but we're going to have really a phenomenal virtual town hall. We'll be broadcasting across. We'll live stream the whole thing. I'll be moderating. and I can be fair with all of them, and it's not just going to be questions about TEXIT, right? We got a lot of other policy issues here in Texas that a governor is going to be responsible for dealing with. So we're going to be covering the gamut, and it's it's going to be we're going to be talking about property taxes and consumption taxes and getting rid of the property tax, and we're going to talk through a lot of the statements that these guys have made. We're going to talk about Snowpocalypse 21 and ERCOT and wind subsidies, and there's a ton of issues that we're going to unpack with these guys. So gonna be a phenomenal time. So November the 7th, 7:30 p.m. Mark your calendar. Better yet, just go to the website. Go to the website. Go to the events. It's there, and RSVP. That way we know that you'll be there, because here's the other part of this. We are going to be doing live Q&A, very much like I do here, right? Except one of the things that's going to happen is we're going to have a separate feed running where we have 500 to 1,000. We haven't decided yet. People that have an opportunity to participate in the Q&A portion of this, so that there will be, so it's going to be treated just like a room. So everybody will get a chance to watch. We will still monitor chat, but there will be a controlled Q&A room where, just like when we do our webinars, right? When TNM does webinars, we have a Q&A section. You hit the Q&A button, you ask your question, and then we can go through and find the questions, consolidate a bunch of them, dovetail them in, very similar to that method. But we're still debating over whether we're going to have 500 in that room or 1,000. And that's what the RSVPs do, is help us reserve those sorts of spots, those virtual spots, for people if they want to participate in that. So make sure you get over there and do that. Old timers who remember my live broadcast from before remember what me bringing this cup on a live stream means. At least you should remember. It does not mean I'm a pirate. No, it's the cup is a sign that I'm probably going to get medieval on some things or some people tonight. So just bear that in mind. I came prepared. So yeah, so that's that's a great piece of news, and really excited that we're able to make that happen. But let me do this, if you guys don't mind. I'm going to head over here to the chat real quick and see what we got going on from you guys. Man, there's a ton of questions in here, and thank you all so much. Somebody's commenting on the pre-video that we were showing 22 tree, and it does seem a bit dated. If we had to update that video every time the federal debt went up, we would be in production all the time, right? So the concept's the same. Look, if 22 trillion made you mad, what is 30 trillion going to do? It's going to send you into orbit, right? Okay, hello, Tyler, Texas. I am going to be in your neck of the woods. It is on the calendar. I will be in Lindale, and I am actually going to be back. That's my home area up there, and I'm going to be back up there for my high school's homecoming and my class reunion. Our school, little school outside of Longview, called White Oak, only has their homecoming once every 3 years. And the tradition stems back to when all the boys shipped off to World War II, and they said they weren't going to have a homecoming until they all came back home. And so, when the war was over with, it was 3 years later. So they kept up their tradition. So it's been a tradition since World War II. They have a homecoming every 3 years. And literally, so many people come back. It's a massive thing, but we're also doing a class reunion this year too. So I'm going to be up in that neck of the woods, going to be speaking in Lindale, going to be participating in I think some of our volunteers, if I remember right from today, some of our volunteers are actually going to have an information booth at an event there in White Oak. I'll be there. I think we'll have some TEXIT books, and that'll be fun. And then I think there's perhaps a meet and greet planned for Saturday afternoon or something along those lines. I don't know the details, but it'll be on the calendar when we get it all squared away. Good question. Christopher says, Mr. Miller, can we commission Walker, Texas Ranger to bring Governor Abbott to the 11/7 virtual town hall? Buddy, nobody turns down Chuck Norris, right? So you make that happen, then rock and roll. Hello, Conroe. Hey, Stephen. Paul is asking a question. What about older people that live on Social Security benefits? Texas by itself would be easily taken over. Red states need to form a new union. Okay, there's literally 3 sentences in that, and literally all 3 sentences are like really bad. Okay, so number one, it's the Social Security question. It's like literally, I can't go anywhere without getting the Social Security question. If you go to our website, like if you let's see, where are you? What you're on Facebook, right? Okay, so go to our website. Go to TEXITnow.org. It will take you right to the TEXIT section of our website, where the Social Security question is answered in excruciating and painful detail. And I know it's excruciating and painful because I'm the one who wrote the answer. Okay. But if you don't want to go to the website and read it, go to our YouTube channel, where we have a video that covers that very thing. But since you're on Facebook, I would just recommend going and looking in the videos section of our Facebook page, where that video is also posted. Then this other Texas by itself would be easily taken over by who? By who? You know, people love to throw out statements like that are so doggone general, and it's like, by who? Who would we be taken over by? I mean, we're already being taken over because of the border crisis, aren't we? So easily taken over by who? Martians? I mean, I don't know. And then this red states need to form a new union. Sorry, amigo. Here's the fallacy with that. I literally at the beginning of this just said that we are all about Texas independence, and independence means independence, self-governing independent nation state. Why would we ever want to jump out of a union that went off the rails to jump into bed in another union that could potentially go off the rails when we can be a self-governing independent nation state and interact with those other states in the way that nation states that are self-governing around the world interact with one another all the time? We don't need a new union. Please, people, stop saying that. Oh, yikes. Okay. Hello. Yes, Texas forever. What coffee brand you drinking? It is. I wish I could tell you. I don't know. I think it's one of the Texas coffees, but I can't swear to it because I was in a real rush and got the coffee, burned it in here, and was in enough time to get the stream fired up. So I don't know, but it's good. Okay, let's roll down through here. Someone is saying, and of course I can't see, so this is obviously coming from one of our Facebook groups, probably our members group. Someone says we need more CPCs, and that's true. We need more certified petition circulators. Look, if you are a supporter of Texas independence and you are not helping us collect signatures, then this is exactly what you need to be doing right now. Our goal is to recruit 1,000 CPCs between now and the end of the petition campaign. But let's be honest, if we hit that 1,000 mark, the sooner we do it, the sooner we hit our goal, right? And that's what we want, is we want to hit that goal as soon as possible. So what's it hurt? Literally, what does it hurt? Go to tnm.me/petition and go there and be a CPC. There's an entire section on the website. Go become a petition circulator. I mean, we're not asking you to go to college and get a master's degree. We're asking you to take 30 minutes, watch some training videos so you understand how to collect signatures for a legal petition of the Texas Election Code, print out some sheets of paper, and then start asking people to sign them. That's literally the ask. So go do it. Because I can tell you right now, our CPCs are rock stars. But many hands make light work. So there's no excuse. And there's my good friend from high school telling me that I am getting old and can't see. And you know what? You're right. I am getting old and I can't see. But I will tell you this. So 2018, when we released the TEXIT book, prior to the release of the book, I had better than 20/20 vision. right? I mean, every time I'd go, I'd blow the charts off and read the tiny lines. And in the middle of the book tour, I got really sick. Like it was almost, I would say it was worse than when I had COVID. Okay. I mean, I was sick. And one of the odd things about that sickness in 2018 was that I finally eventually got over it. But one of the things that did was it weirdly affected my eyes. And I came out of that sickness, I mean, not blind as a bat, but I mean, it definitely, I had to get glasses. I mean, that's that. So I went from having better than 20/20 vision before that illness to having to go get vision correction afterwards. So, I am getting old, but, uh, the eyesight thing, I don't think went along with it. It was very unusual. Okay, rolling through, man. I thank you guys all for sounding off and do that. Sound off your city. Shout out your city in the chat. Maybe you guys can. Oh yes, we can get the book on Audible. Um, I've seen you guys connect up in chat. Be like, hey, I'm in Houston. Hey, so am I. Or hey, I'm in Corpus. Hey, so am I. Do that. The more connections we make with one another, the harder it is for them to stop us. Okay. Here's a question. Would the military still be known as National Guard or will it be called Army, Navy, etc.? I would prefer to call it the Texas Defense Forces, right? Right now, our military in Texas is called the Texas Military Department, which is made up of the State Guard and the Air National Guard and the Army National Guard. So we have this 3-branch military called the Texas Military Department, those branches underneath. But I'm down for whatever, man. I mean, as long as they don't call our military late for dinner, I'm okay with that. My son is ready to get back home and join the Texas military. I mean, he hopes we don't leave before his contract expires. So, hey, and there's a super chat. Thanks, Donna. Do appreciate the super chat, and that's just a great way to give, man. That right there helps us keep doing what we do, which means getting the word out, hitting all these different cities, helping to organize, helping to get more signatures. Look, we just did, so you guys have some perspective. We've been under a lot of pressure to expand some of our advertising campaigns, like the billboard campaign, and we definitely want to get up on the air with some additional radio ads. And so, I took a little time and spec that out. Just the billboard portion of where we want to go with this, like the contract to buy is over $100,000. So, we've got to get really in the mode of raising money if we want to get the word out there. And it's either through that or each one teach one. Take your pick, right? Okay, here we go. Scrolling down through, man, I'm way behind, guys. Midland. Hey, Steve. Thank you, and hello and hello back to Nicaragua. And he wants to. Okay, so Steve wants to know: do we have petition signature count? There is a count, but I do not have it. So I know that it is tallying. It is being processed, and it will be released soon. But that's a really good question. And here's how I know they're being processed, because they're literally being processed 2 rooms over from where I'm at right now. So the process is they come in. They go through an initial kind of inspection and an entry into the system, which is the CPC number and an initial count. Then they go from there to another place, which is actually on the other side of that wall, where all of those documents, all of the petition pages are scanned, and we do that for security purposes, because if something were to happen to the petition papers, then we have the direct digital copies of those things, and that's all kept in a secure place. But you never know what could happen. So it goes from that stage to the next stage, which is verification. So they get filed, and then they start the verification process. And so we have what is the initial count, which is the submitted count, but then there is a verified count on the backside of that. And that's a pretty time-consuming process, because they all have to be verified by hand, which means that someone pulls up the petition form, They read off the information. They go to the database. They type in the requisite 3 or 4 points of data required to verify the signature, and then they wait for it to return. And if it's verified, fine. And then we have to make sure that they're legible. We don't have to make sure they're legible. It's better if they're legible, but because if they're not, then we have to sort of guess. And well, maybe that's an S, or maybe that's a whatever. So it's a time-consuming process. And I know somebody made the comment in the comment section on the website the other day that HQ needed to get on the ball, and I didn't particularly care for that comment too much, because if you guys saw how hard HQ works, I will tell you that some of you would not, you guys would wither up if you were in HQ for a day. That's all I'm saying. You guys, so some of the complainers out there cannot keep the kind of hours we keep. Trust and believe. So yeah, I mean, look, as soon as they hit that verification thing, Steve, I'm sure that it'll get released. I'm anxious to know the verified numbers too, and I don't even know. So, Danny says it's TEXIT time. I do agree. Witt says people are surprised by things you say. Oh, I can't tell. When you end a sentence with a question mark and an exclamation point, I don't know if it's a question or an exclamation. I don't know. But it says people are surprised by things you say, perhaps like this. Awkward. Okay, let's go. Dan says, what should we do if, God forbid, the Washington Swamp pass H.R. 1, the corrupt position? Man, I can't even, I don't, is that even a word? I don't even know what that word's supposed to be. But if you're talking about H.R. 1, where they federalize our elections, yeah, it's pretty doggone horrible. And it's going to force a lot of issues. Then if your politician waffles on the Texas issue, are you going to be as forgiving? I would hope not. Let's go down through here, man. You guys are full of questions tonight, and thank you guys for checking in. I am trying to catch up. Texas supporter from New Jersey checking in, and appreciate it. Always think it's funny when we have Texas supporters from out of state. I'm trying to determine whether or not they're just they're actual well wishers, or they just want to kick us out. Either way works. Right, as long out is out. But I always wonder about that. Which side of that equation does it fall on? Okay, Viva, yes. Thank you for your super chat, $10. I am determined. Oh, and William Travis's quote: "I am determined to sustain myself as long as possible and die like a soldier who never forgets what is due to his honor and that of his country, victory or death." That is a wonderful thing. And what's funny? Yeah, that is the letter that everybody, I think, kind of understands. I mean, that people know that letter. It's the famous Travis letter from the Alamo. And that was not the one that I used to quote on the road all the time, right? I always quote the one that he wrote to Jesse Grimes about the reasons that the Alamo defenders were fighting at the Alamo. And because he was very clear that they were fighting for independence. But as of late, the victory or death line has been featured in my remarks quite a bit. And I always talk about the line in the sand moment, right? The 12th day. I mean, I wrote a book about it, but that particular part of the letter, the victory or death letter, has been, I guess, on my mind as of late, and so it's been featured in a lot of my speeches because, it really kind of tracks back to. For me, August 24th, 1996, when I crossed that proverbial line in the sand and began my work for Texas independence. And it's why I've stuck around, because the pledge I made that day was a victory or death pledge, right? It was win or die trying, right? That's kind of what it is. It's like that means you don't quit until the job's done, or until, as I say in the speeches, until the grave diggers pat you in the face with a shovel, right? So it's interesting, but I would encourage people to go back and kind of examine those Travis letters, not just the famous one, but all of them, because it is a real study in courage and motivation and not giving up. I mean, they could have easily quit. They could have not surrendered to the Mexicans, but they could have snuck out in the middle of the night, but they didn't. They stayed. because they were doing it for independence, and they knew ultimately what that cost was going to be. And maybe it's just me being reflective. I mean, you guys, August 24th of this year, literally in 13 days, it will be 25 years for me in this fight. So I'm just getting a little reflective and a lot of introspection, but Viva, not the paper towels. Thank you for your super chat. That's very nice. Lots of chatter, obviously, in the chat about the governor's race. Let's see. And look, folks, if I don't get to your question, it's not about your question. There's a lot going on in this chat. Remember, it's 10 different outlets all feeding into the chat, and I'm doing my dead level best to keep up. Okay. Kate says, I believe you will get leather and Huffines. Oh, man, I hope that was autocorrect. I really hope that was autocorrect. Prather, maybe? Prather? Christian is the TNM strictly a Republican movement, meaning as in a Republican form of government as opposed to other forms of governance? Okay, so I would encourage you to go look at our mission statement. Go to tnm.me/about and read our mission statement. And our mission statement is very clear about what we believe. In a constitutional republic is the cornerstone of one of the cornerstones of our mission statement. Beyond the political, cultural, and economic independence, which is the tripod that independence sits on, it is the organization is dedicated to to securing and preserving a constitutional republic, a constitutional Republican form of government, and the inherent rights of the people of Texas. Yes, Tacker says they weren't politicians; they were freedom fighters. That's correct. I'm sure you're talking about the people at the Alamo, because remember, I am a bit delayed. Okay, so yeah, there are a lot of chatter going on about the governor's race, and I can understand why. Okay. Somebody asked, does Daniel Miller go to every rally? No, I do not go to every rally. I cannot possibly be every. Here's what I'm going to encourage you to do. I want you to go to our website right now. Go to tnm.me/events and go look at our events calendar, and tell me if you think it would be possible for Daniel Miller to be at every single one of them. It's just, I can't. I just can't do it. Texas is big, and there is one of me. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Oh man, this is how far behind I am. I'm now seeing people saying I'm going to get medieval. Wow, I'm way behind. Ooh. Okay, Doc, thank you for your super chat. Really do appreciate that. Yeah, I am rolling this thing through, man. You guys are pounding it tonight. So hey, just a reminder before I move on, I'm going to just briefly scroll through here and see if I can find any more. Yes, there's some Amarillo people out there. Somebody asked, hang on, let me get to this one. This is an easy one before I go back to do this. Someone says, hi, is Texas the 9th largest economy in the world? As of the stats from the last quarter, I do believe we're currently sitting at number 9. Generally, we're somewhere between 9 and 12, right? Just depends on kind of global economics. But I do believe right now we're sitting at number 9 and have been for quite some time. So we're doing quite well. All right. Let me do this. Maybe if I clean my glasses. It's been very difficult for me to get used to this, folks. And you guys see me. There's some of you who don't know me without glasses. Daphne Armour, our chief of staff, pointed out today that my bio photo on the website has me without glasses. And she's right. And many of you don't know me without glasses because I have to wear them everywhere. So, okay. So let me do this before I start scrolling down through the chat again. Just a reminder, if you are watching us on YouTube, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified every single time that we go live. And by the way, if you're watching this, head over and like my YouTube channel. right? I mean, we have the Texas Nationalist Movement one. I've got another one. And again, you can find it at youtube.com/TheTexianDM. And I've got a lot of archive content that I'm loading over there. But man, we're getting ready to load these things down as we've been getting the Roku channel ready. We have found some really incredible archival footage, old speeches, old events, an entire library of the podcast that I used to do called the Texas Perspective. I mean, just some incredible things. So we're doing our dead level best trying to get those things loaded up and get them ready to go. But if you're watching us on Facebook, make sure you like, share, and comment. It's how we beat the algorithm. Like, share, comment. And then, of course, on Twitter, you folks on Twitter know exactly what you need to do, which is give us the old like and retweet, because we need to reach as many people as possible. Okay, so look, let me just kind of get down to before I get back to your questions. I've got a couple things that, well, really just kind of one major area that I want to talk about, and it really gets down to as we have been working through some of the issues related, and I got to put this back over here, working through some of the issues related to the petition campaign. There have been what I would say probably some very shocking moments for me, in the sense that we have people that allegedly profess that they support Texas independence, but are absolutely not acting like it. Right? They are. Well, let me just go back and reference this. If you've read this book, please sound off in the chat. Okay. Just sound off in the chat. But I literally wrote a book, right? And you would think that people that would be coming into the organization, that would be sort of their first go-to. Now, granted, a lot of what's in this is on the website. I mean, I put it there. And so you can go there, but it's in the book. It's in one handy space. And I promise I'm using this as an example, not sell a book, right? I don't care if you buy the book from me or you go to Jeff Bezos and, help him fuel his rocket. I mean, I simply don't care. I would prefer that you buy it from the organization, right? Because the organization needs to raise money to go out and make TEXIT happen. But just so you understand, I'm not trying to hawk a book. Okay. But what I am doing is I am taking this opportunity to say that if you are engaged in the issue of Texas independence, and you have come out, you like, I'm all for TEXIT, I want this to happen, but suddenly you begin to behave like, well, I pulled this book out for a reason. There's literally a chapter in here that I included, and I'm not going to read the chapter. It's not story time, right? But there's a chapter in here, and it's after all of these different things, right? After the case for Texas is laid out, right, where we talk about help people understand what TEXIT is and understanding the construction of the union, then dealing with some of the underlying motivations for TEXIT, and then talking about Project Fear, how they've kept us from, really how they're trying to keep us scared to death to not do it. And then I have this section called Laying the Groundwork. It starts in the hardback on page 161. And literally, it is the things from my perspective, right? And you'd have to admit, I've got some experience and perspective in this. I am the old man in the room, okay? But it's a list of things that are holding TEXIT back. Because when you look at TEXIT on paper, for across every measure, right? Let me back up. I'm doing a lot of self-editing tonight because I'm trying to be sure that I am absolutely accurate in what I say. Context. I've told this story at almost every speaking event last couple of months, but for those of you, I'm going to tell it to you now. Before the foundation of the TNM in 2015, we did 2 solid years of study on the issue of self-determination, primarily centered around organizations that both achieved and failed at attaining independence around the world. Okay. So lots of case study there. Last 75 years, what we talk about, one of the stats we threw out, into World War II, 54 fully sovereign recognized countries. Into the 20th century, 192. That number's grown, right? That's that stat. So there was a large body of success to study from. Okay. Now, a large swath of those came about because of decolonialization efforts, but primarily we honed in on these movements that had made it across the finish line or were on a trajectory to cross the finish line and gain their independence. Okay. So we did 2 solid years of study, and that was just concentrated study. Not that we hadn't really become steeped in the issue prior to that, right? I mean, I could talk about Dr. Thomas Naylor, professor emeritus of economics at Duke University, who was, a phenomenal influence and a phenomenal resource on the issue of self-determination, the late Dr. Thomas Naylor. But we were steeped in this because what we wanted to do was we wanted to know what it took to win, right? What were the indicators that said independence is inevitably going to happen? When these factors happen, what's the deal? Okay, so when can we expect this independence? And so I wrote that chapter of the book because by almost every measure, the Texas should have been out of the Union by now, by every measure, right? So whether you take the sentiment of the population, the resentment against the central authority, you get to the size of the leading advocacy movement. You guys, many people don't realize this, but the TNM outside of the PQ in Quebec, right, who actually hold political power, and technically they're not even an independence movement anymore. They're a sovereigntist movement. But if you include them, we're the second largest political independence movement organization in the Western Hemisphere. We're one of the largest in the entire world, right? So I always love when people go see our number, that number of supporters on the website, go, that's just a fraction. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about, right? You're being an idiot. Please stop being an idiot. Okay. So, the fact is that we're one of the largest independence movements as it stands today in the world. And we may actually be larger than PQ right now. I don't know. I haven't looked at their numbers lately. But the bottom line is that, you start taking these measures and across every measure, this should have been done. So that particular part of the book was about determining what were the things that were holding back Texas. And I laid them out quite succinctly. I mean, one was atomization, a concept expounded upon by Gene Sharp. If you don't know who Gene Sharp is, Google him. Go download a free copy of his book, From Dictatorship to Democracy, a book that has literally been used to topple dictatorships around the world by free-loving peoples. Okay, so go read it, and go read his. He's got a ton of work over there at his institute. He's now deceased. That's the Albert Einstein Institute for Peace. I mean, that's where he was. And Gene Sharp was a genius, but he, excuse me, but he was, so atomization, a concept that he really kind of expounded on, about how regimes maintain power by making us feel alone. They separate people. It's called atomization. They separate me from you, and you from you, and you from you, and they find all these different ways to separate people so they can't come together, they can't share information, and they can't organize, right? So atomization is one of those things. And then this political amateurism, and you start going through the list. And so, I have to say that I've been, as of late, rather shocked because I literally wrote a book about it, about the things that have held us back. And there are some people out there that just seem to want to ignore it. I mean, it's not just opinion, right? It's written from my perspective, and that particular part of it is written from my experience and perspective, but it's not my opinion. These are literal factors that prevent independence movements from winning, right? Political apathy, political amateurism, atomization, this naivete. I mean, there's tons of these things. And so, look, I'm going to encourage you. If you have not read it, go read it. Go borrow it from a library. Go get it for, whatever the cheap is on the dadgum Kindle or the audio book, or go buy it from somebody. Go get it used. They probably, my book probably still costs more on the markdown rack than Hillary Clinton's book. Okay. So, at least that's something, right? But find a copy. We have literally had members read the book and then go buy 10 copies to hand them out to people like they're pamphlets. And it's not. I know, I understand it's expensive, right? Not my, I don't set the price on these. That's the publisher, right? Got to talk to them about that, not me. But the fact of the matter is that if you're going to come at this thing, and I'm not talking to everyone, right? But you know who I am talking to about this. If it's you, you know it. Okay? If it's you, you know it. So here's what I'm telling you. If you don't have your butt in the game and you're throwing your tail in the air, doing one or more of the things that I list in here as keeping independence from happening so far, then you are part of the problem. You are not part of the solution. And folks, I can tell you, after almost 25, days shy of 25 years, I don't have a lot of patience for problems, right? I don't have I'm looking for problem solvers, not problem makers. I'm looking for people that want to win. I'm looking for people that want to be on a team and that want to win, not people that want to half butt and bellyache and moan. I don't know that any of us have any time for it. I'm sure right now, if I go look in that chat, that there's going to be a whole bunch of you on there that are expressing the exact same sentiment as me. Is we don't have any time for a bunch of dadgum crybabies and whiners. I don't want to hear one more person make fun of snowflakes in the millennial generation and then behave like one themselves. This is a battle for tough-minded people, right? And the last time I checked, Texans are supposed to be tough-minded, right? We're supposed to have some mental toughness about us. Isn't that what we all say sort of the problem is? So guess what, folks? It's time to get off your keister and do something. Now, I'm not talking to all you, but many of you out there are doing phenomenal work. But those who know, and you know who I'm talking to. Many of you don't, but if I'm talking to you, you know it. And here's the thing. We will go out and we will fight this thing shoulder to shoulder and we will win Texas independence. But I'll be doggone if look, we'll drag some of you kicking and screaming too, right? I mean, some of you will not lift a finger to help with Texas independence. Some of you, that's just the way you'll be. You won't lift a finger. You'll want somebody else. You'll leave it for me to do, or you'll leave it for these wonderful people in here that are dropping money in the super chat, right? Or that are out there volunteering and busting their tail and burning their gas money to go get petition signatures. You're cool. You'll be cool with that. But I know this because I've seen this sort of thing happen before. You'll be there on Independence Day +1 bragging to all your buddies about how you were an instrumental part of making it happen, right? That's what you'll do. And every day of the week, twice on Sundays, I will take people that are out there working their tails off, like the guy in Ceci Francis Cheney's who are out there busting their tails getting petition signatures, or the Chris Powell, I think he's collected over 1,000 signatures on his own by himself so far. I mean, you got there, the Janie Robertsons of the world down in the, in the Rockport Corpus area. I mean, just out there busting their butts. The Paul Robies of the world, our district director over there in 22. I mean, somebody asked me a minute ago if I go to every rally. I don't, but I'm pretty doggone sure Paul Roby does go to every single thing in 22. I mean, that guy must own a car lot or something, either that or a tire shop. That's all I can say. I watched a live stream meeting that he spoke at the other day. One of the meetups there, I think it was in Waxahachie. He absolutely slayed it. He laid down the game plan that we're telling everybody. He answered all the questions. and just put that baby to bed. Didn't get out of that thing, I think, till almost 11 p.m. that night because people were that fired up. That's what I'm talking about, right? Of the Ryan McCubbins of the world up in SD1, right? Meeting after meeting after, flag wave and petition signing event. The guy had the cojones to go out there to Chris Patty's office after Chris Patty screwed all of us out of a TEXIT vote and have a petition signing in front of the guy's office. I mean, that's brass cojones, right? This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Or the fact that there are people that are on the executive team or NLT right now that will be up till 2 or 3 o'clock this morning, making sure that we're getting the job done, making sure that things are all laid out for everyone and that we're raising the money we need to raise and we're getting our members taken care of and, we're getting supporters on board and our tech guys will be up till 7 o'clock in the morning. And I know because I too had it. I'm practically the president and CTO of the organization. So I'm 3, 4, 5 o'clock every morning working tech and everything else that I don't get to do during the day. So, that's where I'm at. And that's the kind of spirit that it's going to take, the kind of dedication, the kind of passion to get out there and win this thing. And so, my challenge is not to those of you that are doing, but to those of you that are not doing, to those of you that are complaining a lot and whining a lot, but not working a lot. It's time for you to jersey up, show up, get on the field, and help us win this thing. If you think we can do it alone, you're part of the problem, right? If you think that it's okay to let other people do your stuff, well, then you're just a Bernie Sanders voter, right? Okay, well, I had to say it. I mean, it had to go down that way. All right. So for the remaining minutes, I have literally 3 remaining minutes. So I don't know. I'll hang out a little bit longer if that's all right with y'all. I'm just trying to find out where I left off in the chat because it has scrolled so far. So because I'm running short on time, let me run to the bottom and roll back up. Yes, I agree with your sentiment related to Chris Patty, whoever posted that. Okay, we've got some notaries coming. Yep, you guys are rocking it. All right, I'm scrolling up. Beverly is quoting me in the chat. She says her all-time favorite quote of mine is that Sam Houston didn't win San Jacinto with a bunch of cheerleaders. He needed soldiers. That's so true. Oh, I don't remember saying that, but I'm pretty doggone sure that I did. It sounds like something I would say. Let's see. Let's go through here real quick. Yeah. So so I see some petition questions and I'll get to those real quick. Everything you need to know about the petition, you can find at tnm.me/petition. But someone incorrectly put in the chat that the petition can be signed online at the TNM websites. And that is false information. Fake. Do not listen. This is not an online petition. Okay, this is not like that dippy White House petition or like some, what is that one, that change.org petition, right? That's not what this is. This is a legal petition held under Texas Election Code 172.088, right? So the Texas Election Code spells out in law how these things have to be collected. Online doesn't count, right? Doesn't count. You have to sign with a petition circulator or become a petition circulator yourself and sign your own petition, right? And then get a few more while you're at it. We've covered this time and time again, but go to tnm.me/petition and you will find out everything you need to know. This is not, I repeat, it is not an online petition. So don't get fooled into that. Okay. Man, that's a tough one. Yona wants to know what is the best argument to convince a Democrat that we need independence. Man, that's tough because I don't try to convince anyone at this stage of the game. At this stage of the game, we're not looking to convince anyone. We're looking for the convinced. And so if you look at it from that standpoint, then you can more efficiently use your time. Based on the poll numbers, we know that if TEXIT goes to a vote, we win, right? So we're not at the stage where we're having to convince anyone. We just have to get out of the gate, right? We have to get to the vote. We have to get the mechanism to even have the vote. To do that, we have to organize mass numbers of people. And what you do is you have to go out and find those people that already support this issue, identify them, and organize them into political action, which will force a Texit vote, which we will then win. So that's the way the strategy works. So there are plenty of Democrats out there that are already convinced. Plenty of people that are convinced that Texas independence is the way to go that also happen to vote Democrat. Okay, thank you for reading the book twice. James says self-determination conversations are always profitable. Self-determination is a phenomenal topic. Both the history of it, the practical application of it, how the international community had to come to grips with it in the 20th century. I mean, it's fascinating. We really we really need to have like a virtual summit, like a virtual self-determination summit. Would you sound off in the chat? Would you guys be interested in that? We'll call in leaders or people in leadership of self-determination movements around the world. We'll get some academics together, have some panel discussions, just basically do like we did with the Legislative Action Workshop, but we just have a massive international virtual self-determination conference. Sound off in the chat if you, or in the comments if you think that's a good idea. Okay, this comment is from Beverly, but this is obviously meant for Daphne Armour. She says, I would purchase a Texit shirt with the quote, "Please stop being an idiot," from me. Okay, Beverly, you're cracking me up tonight. Okay, someone says, I'm in Houston. I've reached out to the person who's supposedly the holder of a petition, could never get a hold of them. I went to the location on the day they were supposed to be there, and they weren't there. So here's what I need you to do. If you have reached out to a petition circulator and have not been able to connect with them, you haven't been able to talk to them, or they haven't returned your emails, calls, or texts, then I want you to reach out to the office, and I want you to let us know who that is, so we can look into that matter further. On top of that, we'll make sure that you get placed with someone who will get your signature, especially if there's an event that was supposed to go down that did not go down. We look upon those sorts of things pretty dimly. So, okay. Yeah, someone said something about petition not being available in May. Somebody thinks they thought they signed the petition back in May. You did not sign our petition back in May. We didn't launch petition campaign until June. All right, so folks, that's it. I am running out. I'm out of time. I'm 3 minutes over. This thing was originally on the schedule. Just so you guys know, I put this on my calendar, and hey, wow, thank you again, Stephen. We definitely appreciate that super chat. Thank you so much, and thank you. You're thanking me for my hard work, but thank you, amigo, and thank all of you that are doing hard work. I will say this: if it had just been me by myself, I don't know that I could have done this for 25 years. But it's guys like y'all that make it worthwhile. So thank you very much. Let me wow. So let me just go ahead and wrap this thing up. As I was saying before, I saw what Stephen did and was just kind of blown away by it. When I first started this, I think I told you guys this somewhat. But, I had put it on my own personal calendar to remind myself to do it. And I had only blocked out 30 minutes, and it never failed. Like when I thought I was going to do 30 minutes, it's never going to be 30 minutes because I just don't get enough time to visit with you guys. And having this back and forth like this is absolutely priceless. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to be mindful of your time, and just thank you all very much for participating tonight. Please, this will obviously be recorded and stored. So if you go back and you view this on YouTube, please do like and subscribe. And, again, just make sure that you stay plugged into what we're doing. Same thing on Facebook and Twitter. Look, I am going to be here, Lord willing, every Wednesday night at 9:30. And there are going to be other things that we're doing. I'm not going to run this solo the whole time. I think I think we're established at this point and have worked out any potential kinks. So we'll start having some guest folks on here. You ought to see the lineup that we've got coming up. It's going to be great, including that border symposium thing we're doing, because we're gonna make good on what I told the guy who said that we were lying about the border. We're bringing border folks on to prove that he's the liar, right? Not us, but you. All right. So, yeah, we got a great lineup. But anyway, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sign off for tonight, and I'm going to leave you with the words. Oh, remember, if you're not a member of the organization, go join right now. tnm.me/join. tnm.me/join. Help be a part of the solution. Come be a part of the solution. Help us out. Join the organization. Being a supporter is one thing, right? Being in the stands, cheering us on, but be a member, be a volunteer. Come on with us. Help us win this thing. That said, I will leave you tonight with the words of Sam Houston, as I do every time I do this. Sam Houston, who said that Texas will again lift its head and stand among the nations. That time is now. And the question is, will you stand with her? Good night, everyone.